Hey, seventh grade, how are you? Happy Monday. I hope that you all had a phenomenal weekend. Um, I would like the weather to still be a little bit warmer, but Saturday wasn't too bad. At least we had some sunshine for most of the day. And when the sun did come out, it felt pretty good. We went for a walk up at Barnhart, the campground, and that was nice because there wasn't anyone there. And the boys were able to ride their scooters and get some energy out. Sunday was a little cooler, a little rainy, yucky. Um, I hope you were able to at least get out and do something fun on Saturday, even if it was just, yard work or going for a walk, just something. Anyway, today we are moving on to the War of 1812. So, if you remember, the Americans had just fought a war with Britain. It was the Revolutionary War. You completed that Google Slides project before we went out on home instruction. Um, that war finished in 1783. So America was just starting out. We just did the whole unit about how we formed our government, and we talked about the three branches of government and the system of checks and balances, and Federalist and Anti Federalist, and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So America was still young. The last thing our country wanted to do was get involved in another war. But unfortunately, it looked like that was going to happen. So, again, remember, we just got out of this war with Britain, and now we were getting back into some trouble with Britain. So, if we take a look at this slide, in the 1800s, conflicts between America and Britain began to increase again. Remember, the Revolutionary War just ended 1783. And then in the early 1800s, about 20 years later, 20 years, I know for you guys it seems like a long time, but 20 years to form a country and a government really is not a long time. James Madison was president at the time, and Britain was currently at war with France. So, again, even though Britain had just gotten out of war with us, they were fighting a war with France at the time. President Madison and Thomas Jefferson wanted the United States to stay neutral or not take sides during that war. There were a couple different reasons for this. First, we didn't want to get into a war with a country that we had just gotten out of war with, and we were trying to find our own way. We were trying to really find our country. The last thing we wanted to do was get involved in another war. We also were enjoying trading with both France and Britain, and we didn't want this to stop. If we sided with France, Britain would stop trading with us. And if we sided with Britain, then France would stop trading with us. So we wanted to stay neutral, meaning that we didn't pick a side, so that we could still trade with both countries. So that was one of the causes. Next, conflicts with Britain and America began to arise, and Britain made America their enemy. Britain's navy was powerful at this time. They were fighting a war. They were increasing military. So their navy was going to be powerful. But lots of British sailors were still working on American ships. Why? It's all about the money. American ships paid better, so British sailors were working on American ships. British officers didn't like this, and they began to raid these American ships to look for their British sailors. That would be one thing. However, what else they decided to do was capture American sailors, and then they would make these American sailors serve in the British Army. This is known as impressment. So again, a British ship would go up to American ship in the water. They would raid it, which means they would go on board this ship. They said they were just looking for British sailors, British soldiers, but instead of just taking British sailors, they would also take American sailors. This did not make the American government happy. They were taking our people. Okay, then we had what was called war hawks. War hawks were a group of men from Congress who decided it was time to go to war against Britain. These people really started to believe this in 1810, and they were called war hawks. The reason they called themselves war hawks, hawks are an aggressive type of bird. They are a predator, and they wanted to go to war. So they were being aggressive towards going to war, war hawks. They were angry about what Britain was doing and decided that there needed to be a group who stepped up so that the country would go to war against them. Okay, that's not it though. This is the last part of what caused the war. So remember how we had just got all that land in the Louisiana Purchase? And Lewis and Clark went to go explore that land, and they did come across some Native American tribes. Sacagawea was one of the Native Americans who helped them. The United States government was making treaties with some of those Native American groups that they met along the way, that they would stay off their land. Do you think they actually did that? No. Americans were not keeping this promise. American settlers were moving on to the land, and that caused disagreements between Native Americans and Americans. So, how is that related to Britain? Well, Americans were thinking that the British who were living in Canada were providing weapons to Native Americans to defend themselves against us. It is also thought that the British were making deals with Native Americans, that if they joined forces with them, if Native American joined forces with British, then if they won the war, they would give them their land back. Okay, so those are the 4 slides for today. After you have finished those 4 slides watching this video, I do have a quick War of 1812 video on the History Channel that I have linked. And then I believe there are 7 questions in a Google form. I do have the Google form set up so that each question has where you can find the slide. Has the slide number where you can find the answer. That makes more sense, huh? Okay, if you have any other questions, let me know. I'll be back on Tuesday with a review, but that is it for today. Bye.